Wellenbrecher-Podcast. Tiefgründige Gespräche rund um die Uhren-Ozeandekade.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen bei dieser besonderen Wellenbrecher-Folge. Mein Name ist Eva und normalerweise hört ihr hier Annabelle und mich GästInnen interviewen. Jetzt war es aber so, dass letzte Woche die ICYMARE-Konferenz in Bremerhaven war und Julia, ein weiteres Wellenbrecher-Mitglied, das ihr noch nicht kennt, und ich einen Workshop gegeben haben zur Science Communication in Podcasts. Und tatsächlich hatten 3 TeilnehmerInnen dieses Workshops Lust, einen Podcast aufzunehmen. Und dieser ist so toll geworden, das wollen wir euch nicht vorenthalten. Dementsprechend kriegt ihr heute diesen Podcast zu hören, der, wie ich finde, sehr spannend ist, weil er junge Stimmen einfängt und wie Wege in den Meereswissenschaften aussehen können. Das Ganze ist allerdings auf Englisch, kleine Vorwarnung, aber ich denke, das sollte keine Hürde sein. Heutzutage kriegt man das ja ganz gut hin. Wir freuen uns über Feedback zu dieser besonderen Folge und ich möchte auch nochmal erwähnen, dass die Folge auch auf einem anderen Podcast-Channel rauskommt, und zwar in dem Podcast Gen Z. Das Konzept von Gen Z ist quasi ähnlich wie bei Wellenbrecher, nur dass es eben internationaler und deshalb nur auf Englisch ist. Vielleicht wollt ihr da ja auch vorbeischauen, wenn ihr Lust habt. Viel mehr möchte ich gar nicht erzählen. Jetzt kann der Podcast starten und in 2 Wochen geht es dann mit einer regulären Folge weiter. Viel Spaß!
Welcome. I'm here with Madalena and Sophie. We're at the ICYMARE conference. My name is Kay. I'm from the University of Amsterdam. And ICYMARE is a conference for young marine researchers to share their research, to network, and just get first conference experience. And today we kind of want to just chat about our experiences in our respective fields and what it means to become a marine scientist. And let's start with some introductions. Madalena, do you want to start with?
Okay. I'm Madalena. I come from Portugal.
And I'm Sophie. I am from Germany.
So, what are your guys' backgrounds, research-wise?
I think I can start. So I studied bachelor in biology in University of Aveiro in Portugal. After that, I followed for a master in marine biology. When I finished, I kind of got a research grant helping in a project, and now I'm in the 3rd year of my PhD.
And what's your background, Sophie?
So I started by studying biology as well in my bachelor's in Bremen in Germany. And then for my master's, I went to Portugal as well, but to Faro, where I studied marine biology. And for my final research projects, now I'm based at the University of Amsterdam.
Okay. Before you dive into the specifics, I think it will be nice to know what is your connection to the ocean, or maybe what brought you to study marine biology?
Okay. So I grew up very far away from the ocean. So it was always super amazing when I had the opportunity to go to the beach with my parents. So since I was little, I actually wanted to work with something related to the ocean, and I always loved animals. And when I finished my high school, I had to choose which course to take, and the only thing I was sure about is that I didn't want a job where I had to be sitting in a desk all day looking to a computer. So then I really loved biology while I was in high school, and I kind of went for it. And if I don't like it, I can always change to a different course. But fortunately, I actually love it. Then I continued to love, especially marine biology. So when I had the opportunity to go for a master, I chose marine biology. I intended to work in aquaculture, but then I was supposed to be part of a project that was intended to produce salmon offshore. However, COVID started and everything went down. And the supervisor that I was supposed to work with, he talked to me and he said, like, we have a researcher that is working with climate change and in shallow marine environments. Would you like to work with her? And my answer was like, well, I need to do my master thesis about something. So yes, and actually love it, even though I was not expecting it. I love every part because we don't always do the same thing. So we have a part where we have to think about what we want to do, what's the answer we want to get an answer to. So we also have the field work where we go to collect the animals, and then you need to set up an experimental design, and then you need to go to the lab and do different analysis and learn different things, and then you need to analyze all that data, and then you write it down, and you can tell your own story about all the things you have done before. So that what made me love so much this area. So I then intended to fall for a PhD, and here I am.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, nice.
How did you start?
Yeah, for me, it was a little different. So when I grew up, I didn't have too much contact to the ocean. So it was never actually in my mind as an option for my future. Um, 'Cause to be honest, in school, I didn't want anything to do with natural sciences, which is weird if we look at my career now. I always wanted to work with like languages and cultures and stuff. And then after finishing school, I started traveling for a bit, and that's where sort of I found my connection to the ocean. And during my travels, I started scuba diving, which then ended up being my career for a few years. And I think that during my work as a diving instructor, um, the experiences and like seeing reefs, well, my home reefs basically, degrading over the years and seeing the actual effects of climate change, local stressors, etc., sort of triggered the longing in me to understand everything a bit more and to start studying. And then COVID hit, which made my whole diving career a bit crumbly, to be honest. So, I went back to Europe, and then I decided to just go for it and started studying. And from the beginning, I mean, I was starting studying with the intention of working with coral reefs, and that never changed throughout my studies. And here I am now.
I think it's funny sometimes because I feel like there seems to be this stereotype of, oh, if you do marine biologist, like a lot of people tell you, oh, that's what I wanted to do as a kid. And also for me, it just came up at some point. It wasn't like a thing I always dreamt of as a kid, even though
Want to
it's
work with dolphins.
we always liked the ocean, and I'm from a coastal town, so it's easy to connect it. But then I started biology because I thought I didn't know what to do, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of liked it in school, so I started something that I was good at. And then I also did a scuba diving course. I was like, oh, I like this. I like this. I like being underwater and looking at pretty things, and that's how it started. So I think I don't know, no matter how you start, there's many different pathways to
I think it's
get to ocean science.
to identify what you don't like than what you like.
Exactly.
So I think that by making choices about what you don't want to do, eventually you get into the right path, whatever it is.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a bit longer. Sometimes it takes us through various routes before we find something. And I think
And sometimes you can hit a wall and go to the conclusion that I actually don't really like what this is.
Exactly, yeah.
And just change it and
Yeah.
to do something else. But that's something also good about our area of work. We are very flexible about what we study and about what we do. So we all call ourselves marine researchers, but actually you don't see many people doing exactly the same thing. There are also different things using different methods, so with different intentions. So that's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to touch on some points uh, that I guess many people that would consider a career in science or marine biology would ask themselves, particularly things that are difficult or the struggles they were facing. Also touch on some like nice aspects. I think everyone who is at the conference is passionate about their research and loves what they do. But there's always drawbacks or certain things that don't go the way you want to. And I think, especially in this environment, it's nice to um, talk about these kind of things because it's not often talked about um, in the, especially not to the public or anyone. So, what would you say are maybe the most current struggles that you're facing in your studies or research areas?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you can start if you want.
I think that so I can talk about my country, which is Portugal. So I think the main struggle that any person that is working in science at the moment has is, will you have a job in the future? Because it's very difficult to get funding for you to continue your research. There is almost no permanent position. So every few years you need to be applying to a new grant, and it will only last for like 3 years. So even people that are your supervisors and that have like 15, 20 years more experience than you are in this situation. So that's something that concerns you. So I'm in the third year of my PhD, and my main thought is about what am I going to do in a year when my PhD grant ends. So I actually did basically all my work plan, and I did everything okay. And then I have published my articles, and I put on the science and my contribution to science. But what will I would do with this? Because if I want to find another job with a PhD, for example, in an aquaculture company, nobody will hire me with a PhD because they basically have to pay me more than they would pay for a bachelor or for a master student. So I basically get a degree, but I will not get a job. So I would say that's my main concern and my main struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even though I'm at a different point in my career at the end of my master's now, I'm sort of in the same situation. I'm also starting to look for jobs, future opportunities, and I think touching on what you just said, Madalena, it's such a fine line between what experience you need and what's sort of too much. Because you said with a PhD, you're sometimes overqualified for positions because they have to pay you more. But then on the other hand, it's also a fine line on the opposite side. Like I'm looking for positions now, and with some experience, with like good academic records, etc., it's still a lot of times expected, for example, to first work for free for a little bit because you apparently don't have enough practical experience. And I think that's quite a big struggle in our field.
Yeah.
That sort of there's only a very thin line you can walk where you very employable. But as long as you stray into either direction from that line, it becomes hard.
I would just like to add something about what you said. There was a teacher in my master that used to say that marine biologists struggle a lot with the thought of being paid to do what they love. So a lot of marine biologists just work for free, like all the volunteering work that some people do. They do it because they love it. They don't get any money from it. But if you think that's hard work and the work they are doing for free, they should be paid to do it. And since they do it for free, nobody else will be paid to do it. But a lot of the science work that we do, like we can talk about anything, sea turtles, seals, like a lot of this type of work is done for free. And I think this mentality also has to shift. We need to stop working for free just because we love it. And we need to start getting the notion that we need to be paid for the work that we do.
Yeah, I think the aspect of like instability in the job market or opportunities to do research and get funding is probably one of the concerns that most people will have. So I think everyone can also relate to them. And I think like one thing that kind of gave me hope after my bachelor's, because now I'm in an intermediate position between the two of you. I finished my master's. I'm now looking for a PhD position, trying to find a job until then. And I had a break between my bachelor's and master's because of COVID. And I basically just moved back in with my family. I was like, okay, what am I going to do if everything is locked down? Um, but what was nice is through networking and just meeting people through people that I knew, I got a job in epidemiology, which I had no experience in. And then I did something more IT related than biology related. So just knowing this and, you know, knowing that I can apply a lot of the skills that I learned from just having been through these programs gave me some confidence that I could find something else if I at some point decide not to follow up with science. Um, yeah.
That's a very good point. I mean, no matter how far we are, there is always possibilities outside of our field, and it's never really too late to reach for other possibilities, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. We need to always have a plan B in this area. So
Yeah.
So in terms of like, despite all the struggles, what would you say is something that still drives you in what you do?
want to start, Sophie?
I can start, yeah. And I think it's a good idea to get to the positives because there is lots of positives about our field. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here. For me personally, there's so many positive aspects, actually. I do really enjoy anything about what I'm doing right now, whether it is field work, collecting data, lab work, analyzing data, writing it up. So the entire process, I think it's nice to be in a community that is where everybody may be doing different things, but we are all sort of driven by the same motivation of doing what we love, doing something to hopefully have a little bit of a positive impact. And I think that's just really nice to be able to exchange ideas, to be able to work together, help each other. And yeah, I think that is actually a big part of what I love about it. And I think collaborations, cooperations, conversation, it's a main part that I really enjoy within that community. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I really love my job. I think that's the only answer I can give you because I love to think about the problem and think about solutions for that problem. And unfortunately, given I work with climate change and what is not there is a team to be studied because there are a ton. So the situation is getting really bad, especially I'm going to speak about where I work, which is the Iberian Peninsula, but it's really bad. So you can think about even the smallest thing and create all the project to around it, and you can actually contribute to the community and find solutions. So if I can just leave to find something and make something better, it's already a huge contribution. So I think this is why I continue to do this. And also I have the luck of working in a very good environment. So I work in ICYMARE, which is associated with University of Aveiro. But you have people working with very different teams, but they all help each other. So if I have an issue, I can go talk to any of them. If I have an idea, like I never worked with fluorescence, for example, and I knew that a guy that works with sea slugs worked with fluorescence, and I just went to him and asked him, I would like to try this with shrimp. Do you have any idea? And they help you like just like that. So it's a great environment. You learn a lot and you get to the end of the day with the feeling that you didn't work, you know? You didn't work. You're just doing something that you really liked. And so I would say that this is my main driver for doing what I do.
Yeah, one thing I would say really comes up every now and then in these conferences and also to like in other conferences I've been to is that like people around our age, we share the same struggles. We kind of know and talk about the things that we dislike about what's going on in the scientific community. And one thing I'm always thinking about is that this generation that's now more openly sharing and critiquing the current system will be the one that will eventually be able to overcome it. So, with all the hierarchies or pressures to publish and expensive journal subscriptions, etc., I think talking about it is the first step, sharing those struggles, and then eventually we'll be the ones that decide how this moves forward. And that's been always pretty like encouraging. And because of this, I would like to ask you if there is something you could change about the current system, just one thing, but what would it be?
Okay, that's a tough question to pinpoint it to one thing. I would say there's definitely quite a few flaws. I personally think that it is important. I mean, yes, science is a lot about collaborations and cooperations, but it is still very competitive because in order to make yourself a name and be successful, you need to look out for yourself. You need to make sure you publish. You need to make sure you are on that first position on a manuscript, on a few papers and stuff. So in the end, there is not always room to think about the entire community, because in order to get somewhere, we need to think about ourselves. And I personally would like this pressure on individuals to be decreased so that we can actually reach better results or do more effective conservation, whatever is our target, by working together without feeling like if we don't put ourselves first, we can't really live our lives. So I think, yeah, the pressure should go from the individual. I think that would help us to just work more efficiently.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. I would also say that the fact that we need to be so focused in our career, like you need to publish, you need to get new ideas, you need to be always applying to a new grant or you will get unemployed. And that kind of leaves no room to grow a family. So I know that if I want to have a baby, so I will actually have to stop. If I have some issues, may have to stop for more than 9 months. And that's a lot. So during all that time that I'm not working and I'm not publishing, during that time, somebody else is doing it. So that makes a lot of pressure. So a lot of people in our area choose not to have kids, which I think it's not a fair choice, having to choose between your career and your family life. So I think this would be something, I think we need to adjust this so we don't have to make this choice.
I agree. I don't think we should have to sacrifice either personal or professional life for the other one. I think we need to find ways to better be able to combine them.
Yeah.
So essentially, make jobs more reliable and stable.
Yeah, I
And
think that's
maybe,
the key.
yeah,
Yeah, basically.
Like, I understand that for the beginning, we need to have grants. You don't know if you want to do that, and you cannot give a person a permanent job immediately. So you need to show if they are actually good workers. But especially in the academia, I think they should invest more in permanent researchers. And I'm not even talking about me because I'm not that experienced. I'm 27. I'm finishing my PhD. So, but for other researchers that have like 20 years of their career invested into science, they should get a permanent career, and we don't see that in Portugal, and it's actually quite miserable right now. So
Yeah, I think it's an issue in a lot of places globally, the instability.
yeah.
but I think this is why the ICYMARE conference is so good, because we meet a lot of young researchers that are from different countries that actually are more developed than others, and we can see that we have common issues and problems, and we can actually hope for a better solution in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Madalena. And I think it's nice because I heard it from a lot of people as well that are struggling with one problem or another, doesn't matter what, and that often feel alone with their struggles. And I think like events like ICYMARE give a great place to exchange and to just realize we are all in this together and we are something in the same place. Both, but also as Kay said previously, maybe give each other hope because we are struggling with this and we are learning to talk about it openly. It is the first step towards possibly in the future addressing issues like that. And maybe at one point there is positive change.
Yeah. I mean, talking about it is the first step to work on solutions, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
and because we want to end on a good note, we're all very passionate about marine science. If you had a child with you right now, let's say there was a child with us in the room, how would you inspire them to get into marine science?
It's an interesting challenge. I think the best way to motivate anyone from a child to a grown-up is by showing them and putting their hands into work.
Mhm.
So if you can just go to the beach and just look, I love to do that, go to a rocky shore and just look to the animals you can see there. And it has an amazing biodiversity that you can see, like sea stars. And if you put a sea star in the hand of a child, like there's no better way to motivate them. That would be my.
Yeah.
I can just agree with you. I would also say just expose them to the real life natural scenario and environment. Take them wherever you have ocean available, I would say. I mean, some landlocked areas, it may be a little bit harder, of course, but like take them there whenever you can. Show them the beauty, explain explain the importance
Preserving it.
of preserving it in a, of course, in a nice, accessible way. But yeah, I think if we expose them early, I think it's the best way to go. And that doesn't mean that every child needs to end up loving it and working in it. But the more we do it, the more they can choose for themselves what they end up loving. And some will end up loving it.
Yeah. And even if who knows, someone might end up as a politician and care about protecting the oceans.
Exactly. I mean, protection of the oceans that needs work on so many levels. Our hands are tied if we don't have other levels working with us, hand in hand with us. So, yeah.
Awesome. We're at 25 minutes. And I think we're in a good time. The broom closet is getting a bit stuffy.
It's quite nice, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the ICYMARE conference.
Exactly.
And hope you learn a bit more about what it is to be a young marine researcher.
Yeah.
Wellenbrecher ist eine Initiative von ICOP-Dach und eine anerkannte UN-Ozeandekade-Aktivität. Produziert wird es durch Annabelle von Jakowski, Eva Rolfer und Josefa Bayer. Moderation Kay Watty, Madalena Missionario und Sophie Littke. Schnitt Eva Rolfer. Grafikdesign Spaghetti Shark. Musik Florentin Seifert. Management Annabelle von Jakowski.